So this is essentially this is where he has decided that he's going to get out independently of me. So he starts rotating onto his side. I'm going to put the weight on the hands, and I'm going to slide the knee up behind his back here this direction. This knee comes up by necessity. I don't plant the foot flat on the floor. I keep the heel dug into his leg like this here. And then I want to start scooping things up here this way, right? So this is the first thing I want to look to establish, because from here I'm going to determine whether I'm going to drive him to his belly, pull to take his back, or go for an arm lock. In the case of the arm lock from here, what we can look to do, if I can start bunching this up in this direction, then two different ways we can do it. If I get this here, then what I can look to do is keep that gift wrap kind of position, this double wrist lock, and I'm going to start looping it around. First thing, I want to like start bringing this foot up. I want to loop this around, lean the weight over to the right side so that the left leg becomes weightless, and then as we sit back and down, now I'm going to use this to start opening that space up. Sit back, squeeze the knees, finish the arm lock like that. Additionally, if we get here and I don't feel like I can get that double wrist control here, then I'm just going to create separation, right? So in this separation here, what I'm doing is I'm framing either across in front of his face or on his head this way, right? The benefit of this is it kind of turns and it takes the spine out of alignment a little bit. I'm going elbow to elbow. I'm sliding this foot up because bringing this foot close to his armpit takes away some of the necessity for flexibility, right? If I keep it down here, I'm gonna have to be more flexible to get that leg around. So when we go here, I can lean to this side, and then I start bringing this leg back around. If I can pick this arm up with it, that's good, because it's gonna help me land in a seated position rather than flopping back. Plus, pulling these arms together is gonna help to stop him from gripping and fighting, and stop him from gripping his arms, because I push them together, it unlocks them. And then now I can sit back and finish that arm lock, right? When we get into this position, just real quickly, right? I'm going here, getting the blade of his hand, I'm gonna go over. This hand is a bar. I'm barring his arm, like an arm bar, by driving this way, right? And again, if I can keep this here and shoot this underneath, I can maybe finish this with one hand. Right? But if I feel like I need to stabilize and get out here, that's okay. Right, sorry. And then when I go to pick his head up, I'm not picking it straight up. I'm picking it, my blade of my hand's by his eyebrows, and I'm turning his head the direction of my choking arm. There. So this has to stay elbow on the ground. I shoot in, boom. Now, I'm gonna contradict myself here because he doesn't have arms to defend, so I can comb the hair back if I want to, or I can slide it this way, okay? If his hands were out and available to do this, different story, but I can get away with this from this position. Okay? Okay. Again, we can go full expression of the rear naked choke, right? If this is not happening because sometimes his head is pressed too tight against me and this arm won't come inside, we can go palm to palm, right? But I'm gonna put that palm to palm on top of his trap here, this way. And I'm gonna use my head to help too, right? So that's another aspect of it. If I do still have this captured and I want to try to get the one arm choke, I'm not going to get the one arm choke the same way as the two arm choke because I can't squeeze quite tight enough, right? Instead, I'm going to hold the trap. I'm going to pull my elbow backward, right? And it might be a little more tracheal than the others, right? It might not be as clean as this, but it's still going to get the job done with this arm still pinned, right? So that's the benefit of it. So again, we've got one variation here, we've got the short choke variation, and we've got the one arm variation, right? Okay. Kojima is obviously choke, but I don't know what Hadaka means, so it's just what we've always heard it called in Japanese jiu-jitsu. All right, so choke mechanics. Whenever we get for the full expression of a typical rear naked choke, right? So I want this to line up, the V of my elbow to line up with the V shape of his neck, so that my bicep on one side and my forearm on the other side are compressing the branching of the cross, right? My chest is behind him here this way, right? The second hand, right, should slide nicely behind that little occipital ridge of the skull, right? So this hand, don't stop at the bicep like WWE style, right? Go as high as you can and then slither this one back behind. This ergonomically fits a little better behind his neck than this does. The other problem with this too, there's a common way that people do this that isn't wrong, but it's less efficient, is they'll go here and they'll start to comb the hair back and get the hand on top of the head. Now, problems with this, one, it tends to make people want to drive the head forward, which does not help the choke at all. Right? It does not help seal the choke. It actually gives him space behind his neck to get more blood flow. So instead of that, the other thing is if this comes in front of his face, he's just going to reach up and peel that hand down. Right? So he's got better defense for that. Whereas this is a little more hidden. This hand is being covered up by this one, so he can't get access to it. If he can reach up and peel my hand, he's going to defend the choke. But I hide it, there's no access, right? So both the hands are hidden, and there's no chance for him fighting and peeling that down. To finish the choke, we're going to expand the chest. We're going to squeeze the arms here like this. I'm not going to be super specific about that because I've heard everything from shrug the shoulders, pinch the back together, expand the chest, do this, do that. It's like, just squeeze his neck. If you're that close, just squeeze. Like, you're going to get it, right? Are there ways we can make it more precise and perfect? Yeah, but he's prone, face down. You've got this locked in. You got time. Like, so whatever. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. First, what I would suggest you do, just have your partner sit in front of you while you're on your knees. Get yourself into a position to where their head is lower than yours, and just work this choke. Okay? Do it a couple of times each with each other, and then retrofit it back into the position we were doing. Okay? Let's go into